All right, in this training, you will witness a full discovery with one of my students. I'm going to be the closer and they will play the prospect, and you'll experience the sales methodology that allowed me to earn over $100,000 a month in commissions. So you can then identify what's missing in your sales calls that's keeping you from earning more money in sales. So without any further ado, let's crack in. All right, Ben, how you doing?
Hey Josh, I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing excellent. Thanks for asking. I know we've got a limited amount of time, so you ready to go ahead and get rolling?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So I've got your application. I've gone through all those details. And so I'm curious, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge that you're having growing your videography business right now?
Yeah, I would say it's just getting a consistent flow of leads. Right now, I work like a normal 9 to 5 job, and I'm just doing this on the side. And I don't really have a predictable flow of getting new clients. It's either just randomly through either word of mouth or just people I might just meet. But yeah, that I would say that's the biggest challenge.
Understood. So you got a 9 to 5, you're doing the videography on the side, but as far as how that's going for you, you don't have anything that's making it reliable or consistent with you picking up the work and getting the clients. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's break that down then. In the last month, when you say inconsistency, unreliable, how's things been the last month?
This last month I got one gig, which was like a high school photo shoot. And then I spoke to someone who was looking for a videographer for their wedding, but that's not until next year. So really just the one shoot.
Okay. Why did you laugh when you said like that was a high school shoot?
Well, it's a good question. Just because it's obviously I know that there's bigger paying clients out there. I could be doing more if I knew how. And it's good that it's better than nothing, but it's not enough to allow me to quit my job and do this full time.
Okay, so these high school shoots, they're not real money makers.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. How much did you get paid for that gig?
That one was like $75.
Total for the whole thing?
Yeah, it was just like a quick shoot. It was like an hour and a half.
Okay, what about editing and things like that, post production, anything there?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably another 2 hours. I didn't charge for that.
You didn't charge for that.
I mean, I didn't charge extra.
Did you do that work? You spent the extra 2.5 hours doing all of that, or no?
Yeah, yeah, I did it, but I guess I just
How,
kind of.
how? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I guess, just kind of felt, you know, they don't have a lot of money, so let me just only charge $75.
Do you have a lot of money coming in from this business?
No.
Okay. So you charge them 75. So how many total hours did you spend on that project?
Yeah, well, an hour and a half for the shoot, probably another hour and a half for the editing, and then maybe an hour going back and forth with these people over DMs to before they signed up.
Okay. What
About
about traveling there and back? How long did that take you?
Yeah, I guess another probably hour total there.
Okay. So that's, I got a little bit lost there, but I think about 7 hours total.
Yeah,
Okay. So you're basically getting just above $10 an hour for that type of event.
yeah,
Okay. And just so I get an idea of when you're looking at other types of work, when you say this is a low paying type of gig, what price point are you seeing is potentially out there for you if you knew how to secure it?
yeah. I'm well. Some of my friends do weddings, and they make between 3 to 7,000. Maybe
For how many hours?
it's a full day of shooting, and then probably another 4 or 5 hours of editing. Um,
Okay. Let's just go with 10 hours. It might be a little bit more, maybe 12, but just for round numbers, So they're making somewhere in the ballpark of $300 to $700 an hour, maybe a little bit less because the extra hours editing. But even if we just said 250, then 250 to 500 an hour, and you're at 10. So they're making 25 to 50x per hour what you're charging yourself out as. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's this one gig and kind of how it compares to what it seems like you're interested in doing. What about the month before? How much total did you bring in for your business on the videography last month?
Yeah. The month before that, I did probably around $300.
Okay. And how many hours did you work total? Just ballpark the number, the total amount of driving, driving back, shooting, editing. How many hours was that?
Yeah. So I worked 3 weekends of the month,
Okay. So
like,
3 weekends, roughly
yeah,
how many hours?
probably 30.
Total. So 10, 10,
Yeah.
10.
Not full. Like I worked 3 of the weekends, not the entire weekend. So
Okay. So
yeah,
30
30,
hours.
somewhere between 30 to 40.
Okay, so again, $10 an hour basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so $10 an hour. You had 30 hours worth of work there. This month you had, I think we said about seven, and you made 75. And one more month before that, what was that in terms of how much money did you make from the business? And if you want to, you can also give me how many hours you worked.
So that was July. I had a better month. I made about $1,000 that month.
Okay.
And I mean, total hours, yeah, I definitely worked more. I worked every single weekend. So I would say probably 50 to 60 hours.
Okay. 50 hours. So 1,000. I don't know that off the top of my head, but let me just quickly check. 1,000 divided by 50. So $20 an hour that. Okay. Why? I mean, I know the numbers are still not huge numbers. 1,000 is not life-changing money, but it was twice as much per hour. Why?
Well, I think I just, one, charged a bit more because
Okay.
in back in July, I had some bigger paying clients,
Okay.
like a guy that has like a cool, they do car shows here. So there's people that wanted to get their, they have luxury cars like Ferraris and stuff that they wanted videos of. So I just charge more for that.
Because
And
they have
it
nice
didn't take,
cars.
yeah, I mean, I guess so. Yeah. Uh,
Interesting. Okay. I'm not laughing at you, Ben. I'm laughing with you that we find a lot of clients come to us because they have limiting beliefs of who they can charge more money to. Might be something that we need to dive into.
mhm.
Like, because what you said earlier was, I I don't feel I can charge a higher price to these people that don't have money. But when you did have this person that had some nice cars, you charged them a higher price. Does that make
Right.
sense? That there's definitely something there that is causing you to not earn the money you want. One of the
Mm.
keys to the kingdom, so to speak. We'll come back on that. Okay, got it. So 3 months in a row, $10 an hour, $10 an hour, $20 an hour, $75 this month earned, 300 the month before, $1,000 earned. So I can definitely see inconsistency, definitely unreliability. And I know you didn't say this, but I assume it would be fair for me to say the money just isn't there either. Like you're not making a significant amount of money. So it's
Yeah.
unreliability, but also not enough money. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So why, in fact, let me ask you this question. How long now have you been running this videography business?
Well, I've been doing it like as a, I wouldn't call it a business because I'm not making that much money, but
Okay, sure.
I've been working with clients for the past probably year.
Okay. So this has been a year. And through that entire year, has it been more or less the same that you've had inconsistency,
Mhm.
unreliability, and not been making any significant money?
Yeah. I never really made more than $1,000 in a month.
Okay, got it. So then my question is, why, if you do you need to get this figured out so you can have consistency, reliability, and make more money in the videography?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest one is I'm just sick of working for other people. having like a job. Obviously, I want to make more money as well. I, I do videography for my 9 to 5, which doesn't pay that much. So
How much do you make a month from your 9 to 5 videography?
maybe 3,500.
Okay. And then after your expenses, how much do you have left after tax, after expenses? How much does that leave you with a month?
Yeah, maybe 5 to 700.
Okay. Is that what it left you with last month?
Yeah, well, no, a bit less because I didn't make as much from the videography and um,
Well, no, just to make sure we're on the same page, I'm talking about your 9 to 5. Your
mm,
9 to 5
okay.
videography, you said you make $3,500 a month. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your expenses last month?
So rent, car payment, insurance, about 2,800,
Okay.
2,800, I would say.
Okay. So $700 is all you've got left. Okay, understood. Let's go deeper into this sick of working for others. What exactly are you sick of in your work for somebody else, which I assume is your 9 to 5 videography?
Just feeling like you're worth more. I feel like I'm worth more, and I don't like being told where go here, do this. Kind of not being, I guess, in control of my own schedule of where and when I work.
I'm curious. So, if I'm hearing you correctly, you are telling me, and this is not a trick question, that you believe you're worth more. Is that accurate?
Well, more than 3,500. Yeah.
Okay. So, why then, when it comes to you charging yourself out as a videographer, do you have a challenge with charging more if you say you're worth more? Where's the, because there's like a contradiction here in on one hand you're worth
Disconnect.
more, but on another hand you think you're not.
Yeah. I guess I've just had a bit of scarcity of not having that many people to talk to. I'm like, well, let me just charge what I think I can get.
Okay. But if I'm hearing you correctly, deep inside, do you believe that you are worth more than what you're charging?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you believe that you're worth more than working a 9 to 5 and someone else controlling your hours and your schedule?
Yeah.
So how does it feel to believe so deeply in both fronts that you're worth more, but not actually getting more?
Yeah. It really sucks.
Well, I hear you. Like, tell me really what's going on. That was a bumper sticker answer.
I mean, what's really going on is my girlfriend has like a really, I mean, she makes a lot more money than me. She's, she does, she's like a software engineer. And yeah, it feels like there's a imbalance there. And I think I could, if I made more money, it would just, help things out a lot.
Help what out?
Well, we could get a house. We could feel like, I don't know, like I was able to provide more. Close the chat here.
Hmm. Is there something going on between your girlfriend and you with the financial situation that you're bringing to the table? Or we could say not bringing to the table?
Well, I mean, she's been bringing it up that she's like, hey, you're putting all this, you're so passionate about videography and you're going out and do these shoots, but it's not really going anywhere. And you have this job. Like, why don't you go back to school and do something that's higher paying? And obviously, I'm not making much money doing this now.
I'm curious, is this idea that you're worth more coming from your girlfriend or is it coming from you? And before you just jump to answer that question, I want you to take a second to think about it. Like, let's just play out a scenario. If you didn't have your girlfriend breathing down your ear that you're wasting your time, you've got this passion, you're not making any money, would we be on this call? Would you have just been working a 9 to 5, doing your passion project videography on the side, and everything would have been fine? Is it, in other words, is it because of your girlfriend that you've got this conflict of, I need to level up? Or is that a real thing that you have inside of you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if I wasn't dating her, would I still want to do better and make more money? And
Yeah, and
yeah,
the
I think
reason I,
100%. Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, either
Okay.
with or without her, I'd still want to be successful and put myself into a better situation to, take care of my mom and my brother and
Okay.
have kids and stuff in the future.
Okay. Have you reached out for help in any type of side business income, even pre videography a year ago, or pre the business on the side videography? Have you ever reached out for coaching, mentorship, some type of business opportunity to make more money in the past?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Okay, when was that?
so I've reached out about maybe 6 months ago to another company that helps videographers.
Okay.
Um,
What about like way back, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago? What the reason I'm asking, so you understand what data I'm looking for, is well, I really do want to understand, is this coming more recently because of the situation with your girlfriend, or is this something that genuinely all your life for the last 5, 10 years you've been looking to make your way financially and make more money? Or is this just a new
right.
thing because your
I see. I
girlfriend's
see. Yeah.
here? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So, I mean, yeah, I've bought in courses and stuff in the past.
Okay.
Maybe nothing is super expensive just because it's always been like a money issue. But I've bought in a few
Okay.
courses and programs and things, and maybe 2 grand, 2,500 here, $1,000 here.
Okay.
Just
And
hasn't really,
how much money did you make from the things that any of those courses were teaching you?
not a ton, probably just in the thousands.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
I mean, probably because I didn't follow them as well as I could. I had to guess.
Okay.
It's things I just didn't do. Maybe didn't put 100% effort into it.
Okay. So that was the information I was curious about. Where do you think you're at now in terms of, let's just simply call it commitment to follow through on something compared to where you were back then?
Yeah, I'm a lot higher.
Okay. Why?
Well, yeah, I mean, as you obviously getting older and my situation hasn't dramatically changed really in any way whatsoever. And I just have more responsibilities now and things I want to do. And I know that if I just keep doing what I've been doing, nothing's going to change.
Okay. When did you start having these thoughts that something needs to change?
Yeah, I mean, probably a year ago.
When you started the videography business? Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you thought that things needed to change a whole year ago, why then have you not had any significant jumps in the consistency and the reliability and charging more in this business over the last year? Why haven't you figured that out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess just because I've been trying to figure it out by myself, going on just going on YouTube and not really having any guidance.
Okay, understandable. What now has triggered you to need to seek guidance?
Yeah, it's a few things, I guess. On one hand, my at my work, they're saying that they're downsizing and probably going to be getting let go in 30 days. And on the other hand, yeah, I guess that's the main one.
So, did you say that you're going to get let go in 30 days from your job?
Yeah, probably the next 30 to maybe 60 days, but probably the next month.
Okay, when you say probably, are you saying probably regarding the timeline, or probably you'll get let go? As in, maybe you won't get let go. Which part's probably?
Yeah, well, I think the thing that's probably is whether or not I'll get let go. Just kind of seeing the writing on the walls that they're kind of not making that much money and people are getting fired. And I overheard my boss talking and saying that they don't need another videographer. So it wasn't official, but it was just something I kind of overheard.
Okay. The reason I'm going into this, Ben, just so you can understand why this all matters in case it's not piecing together, because frankly, it's not piecing together for me either, is you've got a lot of different things. You've got, the inconsistency, the unreliability, and the videography. Clear on that. if we just put that in a box, I understand. You got the fact that you're sick of working for others. Well, that's most people on the planet. Doesn't mean they're going to do something about it. You got your girlfriend that's kind of on your case that, maybe she wants a house together and you don't have enough to contribute to that. And she's looking at the time you're spending and the results you're getting from that time with the videography and thinking you're just wasting your time. I get that as well. There's these kind of beliefs of I'm worth more, but then when it comes to charging more, I don't do that. The point is, I can't see how this is all connecting to you having the clarity of mind or clarity of the drive to do something about this. There's just lots of random things. And if the big kind of light bulb moment for you was I could get let go from work, that would lead me to believe that this call and this potential decision is a reactive decision from a place of fear of shit, I might get let go, I better do something about it, which I'm sure you can understand is not the way someone needs to approach getting into scaling a business. It's not like I'll just throw something at the wall and see what sticks because I've got like a fear that I might get let go. Really committing to scaling a business, the time, the money, the mentorship, the training has to be founded on some type of motivational drive that's much more, I'll just call it thoroughbred, as opposed to just like a, oh shit moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is there a
100%.
connecting dot with all of this that is gonna just like boom, paint the picture for me so I can understand your situation? Or is this not?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing for me is I want to start a family and make the money to provide for kids and have the house and do all of that.
Okay.
And regardless of whether or not I keep this job or whatever, I want to make that happen. And it's not happening right now. And this was just kind of I don't know, like a kick in the ass that okay, it's time to actually either get serious about this or change my plans, but I don't want to do that.
Okay. Considering most people have a job and most people have kids, that's the average person. Why, if you do, or why, if you can't, can you not do that from your job?
I mean, maybe I could, but I just don't think it would be any type of life only making a few $1,000s a month trying to raise kids.
Okay. And obviously, you mentioned before that minus your expenses, you've got like $700 left. Would that be enough for you to bring a child into the world?
No.
So hopefully you're enjoying this training. Now, if you're brand new to the channel, you can skip this. But if you've been watching my videos for weeks or months, you've gotten value, you've implemented, you're making more money because of it, the question I have for you is, what are you doing still sitting on the outside? Are you someone who's going to continue to just watch free content when deep down you know being on the inside, being mentored by me directly, being around other unicorn closers is the thing that would take you to the next level? If you think you're getting value from the free content I'm putting out here on YouTube, what do you think happens inside the mastermind? So if you know you're ready, if you're at that point, you've seen what you needed to see, click the link below this video, jump inside. I'll see you there. Now back to the training. Okay. Why now do you want a family all of a sudden? What's triggered that?
Yeah, it hasn't really been all of a sudden, but it's just been on my mind. I've been, you know, putting it off for a long time because I'm like, oh, I need to make the money first. I need to make the money, and I'm like, well, again, I'm almost 38 now, and
Getting up there.
getting up there. Yeah.
What I'm not clear on, Ben, is when you say I've been putting it off to make the money, I would
Mhm.
completely get that if you put it off and you went and built a business and crushed it. But
Yeah.
what's really going on? Because you haven't put it off and gone and started charging higher prices, which would have been a very simple way to make more money. You haven't gone and quit your job and gone all in on your business and just make it work. So I'm not clear on what strategy were you following when it comes to putting it off to go and make more money? What strategy were you following?
Yeah.
Like what massive action have you taken in lieu of putting off having the family to go and make the money? Have you done anything dramatically different now? You're of the mindset of, okay, I'm delaying the family so I can go all in on this thing. What massive action have you taken, if any?
Yeah, really nothing that I would classify as massive action.
Okay. So once again, we're back to that point of like, I just don't really get your situation. And I'd love to understand it, but okay, you kind of said you wanted to have a family, you put that off to go make money, but then you didn't actually do any significant efforts to make that happen, which would be okay. We could get past that if now there was some turning point moment that you need to have this family done now, not today, but immediately you need to get this accomplished, and therefore you're going to start putting in the massive action that you haven't been putting in. But the question I asked you earlier was, has there been a significant change? And you basically said no. So I just still don't see how this is all going to result in you being successful, with all due respect. Whether you work with us or not is irrelevant. So is there something I'm missing?
I don't know, dude. I can't think of.
How do you feel in regards to your likelihood of being successful in something that, with respect, you haven't been successful in thus far, if nothing significant has changed?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be very successful.
If you were in my shoes and you were considering bringing someone into the number one videography scaling program that's around right now, and you wanted to bring on a great client, someone that's going to get a great result, and that person was saying, I basically haven't done anything to make this happen and make more money for the last few years. Nothing's changed, but I'm on this phone call and I'm just, checking it out. What would you do in my position?
Yeah, I'd probably tell them to get off the call.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to be that harsh on you, but let me rephrase the question slightly differently then. What would be the ethical thing that you would do if you were in my shoes to try and help the person out?
Well, I mean, I guess the ethical thing would be to see why I'm committed to doing this, or how
100%.
committed I am.
100%. So, can you help me help you out by sharing that information with me if there is anything there? Because I'm trying to help you, but I need you to help me help you.
Yeah.
Because we've got a bunch of different things to try and give you a bit of a hand here. We've got wants a family, sick and tired of working for others, potentially getting let go, getting older and nothing's changed, the girlfriend's nagging you. I get all of those, but where, if at all, have these things all come to a head? Or maybe there's another thing we haven't talked about that really was the straw that broke the camel's back, as they say.
There was something. So I basically just got news about 2 months ago that it's hard to talk about.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to leave it as a potential source of motivation for you to accomplish this that you don't want to, I guess, use as a silver lining from a bad experience? It's up to you. I'm not going to make you talk about it if you don't want to.
Yeah, I'd rather not. Just like I guess a health scare with someone pretty close to me.
Okay. You don't have to give me any details, but can you share why that has specifically motivated you to now get serious about investing in scaling your business?
Yeah. So basically, mm, I guess I'll just tell you. So yeah, my mom basically found out like 2 months ago she has bladder cancer. So yeah, I guess that's you know part of the motivation.
Can you help me understand why that's motivated you to essentially want to go after a untapped potential inside of you that you haven't gone after for so long? And I'm not saying you should have done what I'm going to suggest. I just want you to see that there was many different options of how that scenario could have directed you. For example, there are some people, and again, I'll say it again, I'm not saying this is what you should have done. I'm just showing you an alternative option. There are some people that when they found out that news would have said, I'm never going to consider building a business right now because I want to, or scaling a business because I want to just go and spend my additional spare time outside my 9 to 5 with my mum. And again, I'm not saying that's the right thing, and I'm not saying what you're doing is right or wrong. I'm just trying to understand, why did that situation mean that what it did for your focus was say, hey, this opportunity for me to go after my videography passion is something that I need to go and get serious about? Why did it have that impact in that direction for you?
Yeah, good question. So I think it just goes back to wanting a family.
Ah, okay. Can you tell me a bit more?
Yeah, it's just wanting to, you know, wanting your kids to, you know, meet their grandmother.
That makes sense. So essentially, you've got the girlfriend that you would like to have kids with. She, it seems like, would love to have kids with you as well, get the house, things like that. But the missing piece was you didn't have the money to be able to do that and bring these children into a good life. And with respect, you just put that off until now. You've realized the mortality of family members and the whole concept of a family anyway. It's not something that you just can wait and see if and when it happens. And that's now pieced these whole things together for you of, I can't put my make money side of my life on the back burner anymore because I truly want a family, and I want you want your mum to meet your grandkids. And that's kind of been the connection for you of realizing that your lack of income and lack of building this business to give you that income is costing you the ability to have the family setup that you would like. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that. I know that that was really difficult. So thank you for sharing that. I wasn't asking you any of that because I was trying to pry. I was asking because I hope that now we've had this conversation, if by the end of the call we decide to work together, the fact that you've brought that stuff into this conversation, it will stay in the conversations that you have in your own mind. If you come into this program, every time you're going through the trainings, the modules, the group coaching, the execution of things, you're always going to remember how the whole thing is connected to a deeper meaning for you. Whereas if we hadn't had this conversation, possibly you wouldn't have taken the actions you need to, or if you had of, you probably wouldn't have this very profound drive to get you through essentially some challenging things that you'll have to go through to scale this business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. Given that this is so meaningful for you and such a significant thing, why have you chosen us, that you believe we're the people to ensure that you accomplish something so significant by way of building the videography business so you can have a family, so you can follow through on your legacy with your mum being able to witness that?
Yeah. Um, I think your marketing and the stuff that I've seen, it just makes the most sense
Okay.
compared to everyone else out there, because your clients are working with businesses, and it makes sense that I should be working with businesses to make more money. And just seems like you guys know what you're doing, and you have a lot of case studies.
Okay, that makes sense. And what specifically do you feel that you need from us to help you get to a place of consistency, reliability, charging higher prices, and ultimately just having way more clients so you can earn way more money? What are the kind of, if you gave me 2 to 4 things, what do you feel that you need from us?
Yeah, probably how to run ads and get leads, and how to charge in the thousands versus the hundreds, and
Yep.
maybe get over some of my limiting beliefs around money that apparently I have.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
Uh,
100%.
I'd say those are the big ones.
Okay. Understood. And in terms of with everything you've got going on with your mum and your existing 9 to 5, and obviously you've got a relationship with your girlfriend, are you in a position where you can carve out the time to go through the trainings and the coachings that we're going to give you to scale the business? Do you have time available or time that you would be willing to carve out to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. How many hours a week can you carve out for us to show you how to scale your business and make more money?
I mean, at least 5 to 10.
Beautiful. Okay. Perfect. All right. Two other things that I just want to touch on is how does your girlfriend come into this situation in regards to, I assume she knows the stuff that's going on with your mum. Does she know, I assume she doesn't have clarity on how this all comes together because it seems like only you and I have just really pieced it all together. But I'm curious, where does things stand with your girlfriend in regards to you investing the money and the time to scale the business so that you can have a family with her, so that you can do that with your mum still around? Like, what's her, I guess, level of awareness of this whole thing?
Yeah. So, I mean, she knows that I've been trying to grow the videography business, and
Yep.
she's, you know, she knows I don't like my job, and she
Yep.
knows my mom.
Does she know that you've had like a turning point of when the things started to happen with your mum 2 months ago? You decided I'm actually going to take the action now that I haven't been taking for years. Has she witnessed and experienced that shift in you, or is this like a you're just going to go and do this and give her a happy surprise when you come home one day and say, "Hey, I made 10 grand this month."
That was the plan. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't need her permission to give her that surprise because then it wouldn't be a
I
surprise, would
mean,
it?
no, we're not married.
Okay. Is it 100% your money that you'll be investing, or do you have like a joint bank account that you'll be using some of her money to make this investment?
Yeah, it's my money.
Okay, cool. Understood. And then this is going to be, I hate that I have to ask this question, but I do have to ask it. Is there, oh man, I don't even want to ask this question. Is there, and I'm not laughing because this is funny, I'm laughing because this is making me uncomfortable. Is there a timeline on the situation with your mum that you have to get this accomplished by?
I don't know.
Have they given you any ballpark of like, hey, she might have 18 months to live or anything like that?
No.
Okay. What's your thoughts knowing the severity of the situation? Do you feel it's something that, and again, I know this is a really difficult conversation, Ben, so I genuinely apologize, but we have to have an honest conversation. Is it like she could have a few months, but I want to make sure I even started this process while I had the few months, so I feel like I've morally done the right thing? Or is it a case of she's in a bad way, but she kind of got 5 years left, and so you definitely have more than enough time to scale the business, have the kids, your mum has a few years with them, like just on those two
Yeah.
very extreme ends of the.
Probably the second one, closer to
Okay.
that one.
Okay. Okay, cool. Got it. That makes sense. I understand that. I think I've got everything now. I'm definitely clear on how it's all coming together now. Let me run it back and let's see if there's anything I missed. So, and I'm gonna not embellish the story, but I'm gonna piece it together in a way that is how I've interpreted the order of things. I'm still gonna take your information. So just listen to this. Tell me if this makes sense. If I'm understanding it correctly, you have had a part of you that's been like dormant inside of you for many, many years, which is you're worth more. You're worth more than a 9 to 5er. You're worth more as a videographer. You're worth more as a man. You're worth more as a human being. But that kind of I'm worth more, you you did what most people did, which is just basically do nothing about it for years. Yes, you started up the side business. You haven't taken any massive action on that. And as a result, even though you are genuinely worth more and you know you're worth more, you basically just denied yourself that ability to be more. And that was your own choice and it was your own actions. I'm not going to beat around the bush about that. And as a result of that, you've been stuck in a job working for the man, don't like working for others. That's completely understandable. You have the girlfriend that you can't afford a house together, you can't afford to have kids. Your business only made 1,375 over the last 3 months, and the last 2 months were, literally a couple hundred or less. As a man, you feel like your situation now that you're, I forget the age you said, 30 something, your situation hasn't changed. So you're kind of Groundhog Day, basically just going through the motions. And all of this has kind of been, if I say so, just been denied. Like it was all true, but it wasn't really a deal that was big enough for you to, if I say so, wake up. You've basically just been in zombie mode about this whole thing, even though none of those things were enjoyable for you, working for other people, etc. What has now happened is this I'm worth more and I can be more has become I need to wake that up. I need to bring that part of me out and be more because your mum found out and you found out a couple months ago your mum has bladder cancer, and the opportunity that you thought I'm worth more and that would always be there is now, even the mortality of that opportunity for you to express that you're worth more feels like it's kind of slipping through your fingers, should I say. And so now, because of that, you want someone that has results, has testimonials, can show you how to do the leads, can show you how to charge more, show you how to build this out as a proper business, so that, again, sorry to be saying the harsh thing to the hard thing to say, but whatever timeline you do have left with your mum being able to experience your kids and your family, you are not going to have wasted a single day on stepping up to your potential, what you are worth and capable of. And the way to do that is you need to get your business to be consistent, reliable, charge higher prices, figure out the leads, and essentially just make a lot more money. I know that was long, but is that accurate?
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything I missed?
No.
Is there anything that I twisted or changed that wasn't resonating with you as being accurate or correct or
Nope.
okay? So how do you feel? And I don't mean how do you feel in terms of, obviously the conversation we've had is very heavy, but how do you feel in terms of seeing how everything has connected together for you and what that means for you moving forward?
I feel good
Okay.
in a way.
Yeah. Why is that?
Just feel like more clarity into, you know, what I need to do and why I need to do it.
Okay. So where do you want to go from here?
How can we work together?
Is that what you would like to do? You'd like us to fix this together and make sure that you can scale the business, have a family, and accomplish that with whatever time and hopefully as much time as possible that you have with your mum.
Yeah.
Okay. We'd love to help you with that. You want me to walk you through simple A through to Z how we do that? I'll answer any questions you've got. And then at that point, we can go ahead and get you enrolled.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Awesome. All right, cool. Ooh, that was a heavy one. Wow, I don't know what parts of that were real or not real or true or not true. I wasn't sure if you're the best actor we've had on the show or if yeah, I don't even know what was going on there, but we'll find out. All right.
Yeah.
That's the discovery, folks. That was very interesting. So let's start with Ben. We won't do your takeaways yet, but I'm going to ask you one very simple question if you would like to share for the sake of everybody on the call is which part, if there was a divide, went from you were making up a prospect to, I think you started sharing some truth?
No, it was all bullshit. I just made it all up. No,
Oh,
no, 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 dude. Like the video, I'm not a videographer, obviously. So,
sure.
like the money and how much I made and um, my job.
What about the girlfriend? Is that a true thing that you've got a girlfriend, you want a family, and that's on hold?
Yeah,
Okay.
the rest
Okay.
of it is pretty much true.
Okay. Understood. Well, I just wanted to get that so everybody knows what was accurate, what wasn't. I'll come back to you for the sales takeaways. We'll go through
Yeah.
everybody else first. Pete, what's up?
Yes, sir. Amazing job. And Ben, kudos to you for being honest, because I think that was my message in the chat. I was like, you know what? I was like, I feel like what he's saying, none of that's the real reason at all. And there are many times on calls for myself where those answers people gave, like you gave at first, I would have accepted it and be like, oh, that's it, man. It's like he's letting his girlfriend down and this, that is like, no, that's not the real thing at all. Right. Because it's like there was a missing dot. And I think the way you went about doing it, Josh, was just like it was genuinely you were curious and confused, and even how you framed it during the call of like, listen, like I'm here to help you, but you got to help me help you. So like, is there something missing that's not connecting? And then he finally like cracked, so to speak, and was like, well, yeah, there is one other thing, and it was the thing that was the most painful thing to talk about. And I think the reason he didn't want to bring it up was because of just how real and uncomfortable it is to have a genuine, truthful conversation about like why am I really here? Because like it's really hard for
Yeah.
people to admit that. And the way you went about it of just you genuinely cared, and I think he could feel that. I mean, I felt it listening to it. That was the reason he opened up and shared it, was like he knew you cared. You weren't there to sell him.
100%. It's interesting in each of the different close me or role plays, we cover certain paradigms, and I'll call them paradigms because they're not tactics. I'm not teaching you some discovery tactic or some sales tactic. And the paradigm or the meme for this call was when your prospect is saying things to you that just don't really connect together or aren't going to be significant enough for someone to take an action, you have to do what I just demonstrated, which is you just keep going until you actually hit something that makes sense. And I think a lot of you currently would have
Just
not,
give up.
would have not done that or not known how to hold the call very level-headed, very steady. And I hope that now you've seen this demonstration of this meme, you can use this meme as a reference point for if you're on a call like this in the future. I wouldn't say this is a, I would say this is actually a terrible example of the normal structure of a discovery. Sure, we did data gathering, we did, going deeper into stuff, but as far as like a generic structure of a scriptless selling discovery, this is not an example for it. This is an example that represented a singular meme, which the meme was, how do you show up to the call when you're at that point in a call where things just aren't adding up? And I do, if I say so myself, think this was a great demonstration of that meme. So don't look at this call and think, oh, that's how I run a normal scriptless call. No, that's not how you run a normal scriptless discovery with a normal prospect. But there are going to be times, 1 in 10, 1 in 20, whatever the number is, where you've got a prospect that has something really deep, really meaningful, really uncomfortable and hard to talk about, but they genuinely need you as the closer to show up in a way that you can bring that stuff out. Because look at the example we did there. If this was a real call, and I know parts of it were real, this guy is now going to come into the program, crush the program, dominate the whole program course material, scale his business, marry his wife, have kids with his wife, and then have the situation with his mum where he can share those children and his mum can see her grandkids. That's monumental, guys. Like that's a like I if I say to myself, there's a handful of salespeople in the world that would have saved that person. Most salespeople would have just let that person down, and that person is now like I'm not going to say it again because it's too harsh to keep talking about it, but we all know the very real significant consequence of if a salesperson didn't help that person. And by consequence, I mean there is an irreversible situation that would be coming sometime in the future. If you don't fix this for someone, you have, this is going to sound very blunt, but you have blood on your hands, guys. I can't make it any more graphic than that. Like, you literally do.
Josh, one last question on it. It was like, because I felt it. I was like, when you started to call out, yeah, this, there's something not connecting. I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm sensing that too. How did you instinctively or intuitively get to that where it's like all these things, like, how did you determine these things don't add up?
Because when we were on each topic, none of the topics had a peak that kind of pushed Ben over the edge. And I know, as I've said to all of you, cause and effect, if someone turns up to a sales call, there is a straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. And if all of these different individual situations are just, oh, I'm sick of working for others and I've been sick of working for others for 3 years. Okay, well, was there something that happened in that regard that made it unbearable anymore? No. Okay, well, that topic's written off then. It's not that topic then. And I just methodically did that for each topic. And then once we'd done that, Ben had not given me any other topics. So then I said to him, I've got this, and this. But none of this is a turning point for you to be successful. So what's going on? So I just methodically worked my way through each of them, Pete. Does that make sense?
100%. Yep.
Great question. Anything else?
No, that was awesome. I just wanted to ask Ben too, like, because like that's such a real conversation. Like being on the receiving end of that, like being the prospect, like how did it feel getting asked those questions?
Before you answer, Ben, sorry to cut you off, Pete. I'm gonna ask that to Ben anyway, but I want to leave it for the end. I want to do
Makes
everybody
sense.
else's takeaways first. So if you stay on the call, you'll hear Ben say that.
Hi, you guys can hear me good?
We can. What's up? First time I've seen you live on one of these calls. Great to see you.
How's it going?
Awesome.
It's been
Takeaway question. What have you got?
I've got a takeaway. It's been a
Okay.
massive pleasure witnessing it so lively. I personally, I have had those types of conversations in my life before, but I can count them on one or two hands basically. And to see it and make it possible to have those types of conversations every day is what ultimately inspired me to get into sales in the first place, or into people business. So that's very inspiring. The most massive takeaway for me was the very, very first part. I think I mentioned it in the chat as well. Basically, you picking up his love. Yeah, and some high school gigs here and there. I don't know if I would have noticed it, but I don't think I would have picked it up like that. And just through that, you already had like an opening to go ahead and completely dissect the situation. Of course, there was work made there before, but it's as if you try to squeeze through a very, very small opening in the wall and you just slip through there. Yeah, it was impressive.
100%. That's a great example. It's a great reference point of the first moment on a sales call where you are on the ball and you spot something is the moment you squeeze through that tiny opening and you're into a face-to-face conversation with the prospect where they know this guy or this gal is on the ball. Like that, they're not going to miss anything. And that immediate shift from I'm on the phone with a random stranger, a salesperson on a Zoom call, it shifts to who the hell am I on the phone with? They're almost like, what are you? Like, how are you noticing these things? And it's almost like well, I'm either gonna bail as the prospect, I'm just gonna hang up the phone and get off the call, or this could be one of the most powerful conversations of my life. And for most prospects, they'll stay on the call, which is great. And it turns into, as you said, a conversation that very rarely happens in people's lives. Yep. Let me add another bit to the first point you said, which was equally great. And I don't want this to sound braggadocious, guys, but it's going to sound that way because it's coming using me as the example. Neither do I know exactly how to explain what I'm trying to say. So work with me in the chat here, guys. And sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Nikita? Is that how you say it?
No, the R is just, I don't know why Zoom is
Nikita.
messing up my name. It's just Nikita.
Nikita, perfect. When Nikita was saying about these conversations being countable on one hand for most people's lives, has anybody clocked and put in the chat Y for yes, N for no, the fact that every time I get on a close me role play, and even though the prospect is a fake prospect, we have this every single time. Every single time it turns into one of these emotional conversations. Even though there's a fourth wall of the person's playing a fake prospect. And so the reason I bring that up, guys, is when you are this switched on with your accuracy in the tactics, in other words, listening to what people are saying, dissecting what people are saying, and so switched on with your internal mastery, you can manufacture these conversations that for most people are countable on one hand that they've had in their life. You can manufacture those conversations at the click of your fingers every day, every hour, every week, every month. Like, to think you're taking something that usually in someone's life happens a gold dust amount of times, and you're able to make it something that is infinitely accessible an infinite number of times. Does that make sense as far as like the dramaticism of what you're learning, guys? Like, is that clear? It's hard for me to explain it, but let me know in the chat if that makes sense, folks. Yeah.
And
like
also,
I could literally, sorry, one sec, Nikita. I could literally take back to back to back to back calls on a single day and do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and have 25 of these calls in a week. 25 of these conversations that the normal human being has only had once every 5 years. And I can click my fingers and turn them on. And there's two reasons for that. Reason number one, these conversations are accessible and available at all times. In other words, human beings have hardships, guys. Everybody has something going on. So there is a conversation to be had inside of every human being. Everybody has something that they're struggling with, they're anxious about, they're depressed about, they're heartbroken about. Everybody. So number one is they are inside everybody. Every prospect has one of these stories inside of them. Number two is when you master the script of selling and the internal mastery, you create, which is why it's happened to Ben, to Matt, and to, forget who the one was, but Ben, Matt, and the other person we did the other day. You create a magnetic aura around you where even if the person, the salesperson in the mastermind, is being a fake prospect, they end up turning into a real person because the aura that you're emitting is magnetically sucking out their deepest truth, their deepest heartbreak, their deepest story, their deepest internal conflict. That is when you create this aura around you, and it comes from mastering the tactics and mastering the internal. And when you're on the ball with both of those things throughout a conversation, you just turn these conversations from surface level conversations, which is a very cliche sales term, into a real deep, meaningful conversation that people will never forget. Okay? So great point, Nikita. Did you have something you wanted to add? I cut you off.
yeah, basically the pre-call checklist. Just watch. I thought you were gimmicking or joking at the beginning when you said, "Okay, guys, let me just pre-call checklist." But then you actually you could see your face changing, like it sort of changed to this relaxed kind of
100%.
face, and I'm just looking at my pre-call checklist and I'm looking at it like, oh, you useless piece of shit. Like I still need to rework it and still need to do some work on it. But yeah, I'm curious and I'm very excited to see how this journey goes.
Love to hear it. Awesome. You seem overwhelmed, Ben. What were you thinking there? You had a realization, or?
It's a lot.
Sure.
I'm like,
I
what?
understand.
What? It's like, what the hell just happened, dude?
I understand. Yeah, guys, I'm not saying that I want to do this with every member of the mastermind, but, and we'll get to Ben here in a minute, you can't learn how that feels from a book. You can't watch a module in the course in the mastermind and understand what that just did to Ben and to Dr. Robin and to Matt. You have to experience it. And I know that because the underground mentor has done it on me many, many times, 5, 10 times over the course of a few years. So for those of you that have had it done once and you're like, holy shit, that was intense. Imagine having it 10 times across 10 different categories of your life over, 1 or 2 a year. You're like, holy shit, like I've been through the ringer on this. So I know how it feels, folks. All right, Jake, what's going on, man?
What's going on? This is some good, some deep stuff.
100%.
I love it. Yeah, so I was actually just gonna piggyback back off of what Pete was saying a little bit. Because I'll notice I'll talk to certain prospects where sometimes I just get stumped. I'm like, they're not giving me anything. I don't know where to take this conversation.
Right.
That one mode where you got into where it was basically like pause, time out, and then the last question I wrote down, you literally told them, if you were in my shoes, what would you say or recommend? And that's like a question I've never even thought about saying that to someone. And I'm just wondering, I guess not even really a direct question, just your thoughts on like how you get to that point, if that makes sense.
Great question. That question popped into my head, the what would you do if you're in my situation? Because my read on the room, my energy read was like, I can't move forward with Ben because I don't have what I need. But simultaneously, I feel like Ben, number one, is getting a little bit annoyed with the fact that we're not moving forward. And number two, he's getting annoyed, but he doesn't know why getting annoyed is the wrong thing. Like he shouldn't be getting annoyed. I'm trying to help him. So as I was like feeling the energy of the situation, I was like, what would be the best thing I can do to serve the prospect right now? Well, the best thing I could do to serve Ben was help him understand why we're in this position. If I try and steamroll over him, he's going to get more annoyed and he's just going to shut down. So it was just intuitively, I was like, we're in a position where my friend, I know it's prospect, but I view them as like, this is a human being. It's someone I care about. My friend here is a bit confused with what's going on. They're also a bit frustrated, but it's not their fault. They don't understand why we can't move forward in this position. So how can I educate them? How can I give them the information without like forcing it in their face? Like, hey, I'm asking you these questions because I need to know this for this reason. It was like, I'm going to come at it from a caring mentorship frame of like, hey, let me ask you a question. If you were in my position and you're talking to someone that's got a load of satellite reasons to do things, but nothing's really a burning problem or a significant change, what do you think their likelihood is going to be of being successful? Well, it would be very low. Okay. So what would you do in my position? And so I'm helping the prospect in the best way I can. So it all just comes from your intention, Jake. My intention was I want to keep helping him.
Interesting.
Great question.
I'm curious too in the psychology of, do you feel like when you have a prospect like that, do you feel like the real reason, like, so for him, kind of like his mother and starting the family, do you feel like that's going on in the back of their head the whole time you're kind of asking them questions? Or do you think they're not even realizing that that's the big thing until that moment it comes out?
I wouldn't say it was at the moment it came out. It was a little bit earlier than that. But the first whatever timeline, 10 minutes of the call where Ben was telling me about the girlfriend, the hates is sick of working for others. At those points in time, he wasn't thinking about the deeper thing. It was completely repressed and so deep behind his, I'm not even thinking about that. Is that accurate, Ben? You tell me. Like you weren't even considering the deeper thing until it's like we're not moving forward now, and that real reason was probably starting to peek over the the precipice of, hey, me.
Yeah, I kind of gave. I was like,
well,
well, yeah, I might get fired. I kind of threw that out there. It's just like, let's give him something. And he's like, well, that's not it. I was like, oh fuck, great, here we go.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Jake? Another great question.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, Chris, and then Ben.
What's up,
What's
Ben?
up? San Francisco in the house.
Absolutely. So a few takeaways. I'll reverse the order. So the silence.
I saw you post that in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, the silence, it felt like you were sitting next to them energetically. It's like on a park bench. And I think, I don't know, it'd be interesting to know from Ben is what was going on during that time. And was that where that repressed situation started to surface?
Well, let me speak for Ben, unfortunately, and then
Yeah.
we will come to Ben. Just in a very simple part of what you said, the fact that there was multiple moments in the call where we sat in silence for multiple seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and there was just nothing going on. It was, and this was probably subconscious for Ben. He might not have even known that this is what was happening, but this is because I understand people. When there is a human being that can sit in silence for that long and do two things. Number one, not rush the person to hurry up and give me something. But number two, also in that energy space, they're still sending, like, I'd say love. Like, you're sending loving energy to the person. So you're not rushing them, and you're also sending them this like loving energy. When someone is around someone that can sit in silence in that form, not sit in silence, but you can feel the cogs are whirring in their brain and they're getting annoyed and they're getting frustrated. And this is the person waiting for the person to respond. What that does to another person is it makes them feel so comfortable to eventually tell you the truth of what's really going on. So there is a direct correlation between how I operate when we're in silence and Ben's eventual ability to tell me what's really going on. There is a direct correlation between those two. Anyway, I know I spoke for you, Ben. So what's your
There were two
experience of
moments
that?
when that happened.
Okay.
The first one was like, yeah, probably three, says Nikita says in the chat. The first one was like, well, yeah, this is going off my girlfriend. I was like, I didn't want to like bring that up. You're like, well, is that it? I'm like, well, no, like this thing's happening. And then we're like, okay, well, it's not all connecting. I was like what's really going on? I was like, I don't want to go there. But I mean, it's interesting that the patience, like as far as like we're not rushing or not, like you just said, the cogs aren't turning. You can definitely feel that. I'm like, all right, this is what's going on. But as far as like how I felt, oh man, like it's just like you're not moving forward in the call until I know, like until I get the answer that I want. I have to understand, not because I'm trying to like sell you, but it's for your own benefit. But there's nowhere to hide, It's like, fine, dude. Like it's this. It was like the deepest thing I guess I have going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot as far as like my takeaways from the call, even from the very first summary after the opening question, super glass half empty. I was like, oh, okay. The way that you were like, oh, so you're only making $10 an hour, and I was like, oh fuck, like here we go. Like what? Like so why did you laugh? I'm like, I'm like, I'm in trouble. Yeah, it felt like it's a simultaneous mix of like, it's like a constellation. It's like, okay, well, I see this piece here and this piece here and this piece here, this piece here, but like, where do they connect? Like, how do they connect? And then once you got that, it was like, oh, like we both kind of had like the light bulb moment, which was interesting. And then it also kind of felt like you have like I think of it like mine shafts. You're digging, digging, digging. Oh, okay. It seems like we got to the bottom of this one. All right, let's go to the bottom of this one. All right, there's nothing really there. Let's go to the bottom. It's just like, well, dude, all the mine shafts are empty, but there's gold here somewhere. So like, where's the gold? You tell me. I'm like, I guess it's over here. You're like, why is it that? I'm like, well, fuck. Oh, it's like, okay, there, like we found the gold. It was over here this whole time. but I didn't know. Like, it wasn't something that I was actively thinking about. Of like, well, this is the real reason why I want to do this. I didn't even know where the conversation was going to go. It was an interesting experience being on this side, and I could see like the difference between how I'm running my calls to how I just felt. There's a lot of learning to do.
Yeah, that's how I felt when I saw the Underground Mentor do that many times to me. I was like, oh my God, like there's so much untapped power in this skill, this ability. Let me draw a quick metaphor for the analogy you gave there of the mine shaft. So how that is with the prospect and the closer is this is the this is the prospect and this is the closer. And the prospect is telling the closer where to go and dig. So I'll just put over there, right? And so this person is telling the closer, right, the first place to dig is here. Now, this person knows that that's not where the, let's call it treasure is, where the gold is. But the reason they're not telling you where the gold is because that feels like being exposed. It's like, well, I don't want to tell someone where my deepest secrets are and my deepest treasure and my deepest gold. So this person knows that the actual place that it is over here. So then the question is, well, why don't they tell the person it's over here and instead they attempt to tell the closer it's over here? And the reason that they do that, aside from the reason I just gave, which is they don't want you to go and dig up their gold or their demons or whatever, is this. They believe that when the closer comes over here and starts digging, they're only going to dig to about here, and then they'll just give up. And then what the prospect thinks is, well, that saves my bacon, saves my ass, because I can basically just say, well, it was down here, but you just gave up digging. Like, it was there, but it was much, much, much deeper. So the saving grace for the prospect is thinking, well, most people are just going to go halfway and then quit. And even if the prospect then says, oh, well, okay, maybe this one, they think again, well, they're only going to dig like halfway and then they'll just quit. They do not expect, which is the experience that you just said, Ben, when someone comes along, me, and goes all the way to the bottom and goes, there's nothing there. And I've got to the bottom. And that's when I say things like, well, why did you just laugh? And that's when they feel, holy shit, this person, this guy, has dug to the bottom and exposed that I just lied, that there was something down there when there isn't something down there. But the reason that this person does that so often is they just know that 99% of people are going to quit halfway. They're not going to be switched on enough to notice the inconsistencies in the words or the energy changes or the rationalizations or whatever. And so your way of dealing with this thing that a lot of people will do is you have to follow where they tell you to dig all the way down and go, nope, nothing there. Then they'll say, oh, well, maybe it's here. And you go all the way there and there's nothing there. Then they say a third place, or however many, I'm just making up the numbers, and you go, there's still nothing there. And at this point, this guy would go back to this guy, the prospect, and say, listen, man, you've told me to dig here. There was nothing there. You've told me here, and there's nothing there. And you've told me to go and dig there. And we both know that I did a very professional job of following where you told me to go. And there was nothing there. So can you stop fucking around and just tell me what we both need to know? And that's the energy shift of like, I'm so good at what I did and such a professional and so on the ball. I trusted you and I followed your guidance to dig here, and dig here. But you didn't like hoodwink me with thinking that I was only going to get halfway and give up and you were going to be able to hide your true treasure away from me. And so this is metaphorically in terms of a diagram, what's going on. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Chris, did you have any more takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, man, that's a really good analogy, collaborative. Yeah, the other point on silence, you're still communicating when you're in silence, which is the ultimate paradox, which I love.
So much.
And then the other thing,
Sorry, let me just add one thing to that. Sometimes in silence is the only tactic that can communicate what you need to be communicating. Let me give you an example. In the examples where I was silent on this call, in order to get Ben to open up, what do I need to be communicating to Ben? Hey, Ben, I'm a really patient person and I care about you. Without deploying the tactic of silence, I don't know another way that I could actually communicate that to Ben. In other words, I can't say to Ben, hey, listen, I'm really patient. I really care about you. Please tell me what's going on. Because everybody knows when someone's telling you they're a certain way, they're usually not. They're compensating for the fact they're not actually that way. So when you demonstrate something to the prospect that is the one thing that that prospect needs, you've given them the communication, the message of what they needed to receive. At those moments in the call, what I knew Ben needed to receive is to see, I'm so professional that I will just be patient until you're ready to share. Equally, I'm 100% detached. If I sit here for 2 minutes and at the end of 2 minutes you say, no, I don't want to tell you anything, you know that I'm not going to react. I'm going to be like, okay, I respect you. That's totally fine. And he could feel both of those things, patience and detachment. Like, I'm not going to force you to do it. And I'm not going to be annoyed with you if 2 minutes later you don't tell me anything. And those messages were the things that Ben needed to receive in order to open up. So it's not just the silence was cool and great. It's that was the only way I could have communicated what I needed to Ben. There was no other way.
Yeah, that's great. Love that. Wow.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to say it's like insane how masterful these are, where he can start off giving you this, and then you're like, no, none of that. Go down here. I guess my hands are below the screen now, but and get to just such a raw truth off of a conversation that started about how much money he's getting doing videography at like a party or a restaurant or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But my question is, I watch these and I watch the call reviews and I go to my next call, like hyped up. I'm like, this person's definitely closing. Like, there's no way I'm not going to close them. And then my calls don't go anything like this, or at least not like nearly as deep.
Well, they won't go this deep when you're still learning. So don't be too hard on yourself. But the other thing is, I wouldn't be taking the enthusiasm and the energy of these calls to your next calls thinking I'm going to close them, because that's very outcome attached and also very ego attached. What you should be taking from these calls is, wow, I'm about to speak to a human being that has a life and has a story and has things going on, and I would just like to get to know them. I just want to know what their life is, as opposed to looking at it as, holy shit, Josh has just fired me up with a bunch of motivation. I'm going to rip closing everybody. That's the wrong energy space. And then, of course, it's not going to work.
Makes sense. Yeah.
It's just taking the fact that we're having these role plays and how, if, in my opinion, and I hope for everybody else, how, and I know Ben shared something very negative, of negative story, but how enjoyable the conversations are. Like, it's enjoyable to have a real conversation with someone about their real life. Even if the thing you get to is something really sad, I'd still rather it be real than be fake and be surface level and be some nonsense about, oh, I'm sick of working for others. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. We've heard that from every prospect on the planet. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, I'd rather talk about something real. So take the enjoyment of how personalized these conversations are. Take that to your next call. Don't take the, oh yeah, I'm going to close everybody.
Yeah.
And then you probably will close more people if you shift the intention. Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Ben, have you got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I'll just say, like, the way I felt from the very beginning was like, like, like I can't bullshit this guy. And immediately I was like, man, the way that you were saying, okay, so you're only making $10 an hour. And then I was just like, yeah, I'm fucked. I'm completely cooked. And there's I don't know. It didn't feel like just random data gather. Okay, I'm gonna ask about this, about this. It was very much like, okay, we're stacking, like holding your feet to the fire. It's now I know what it feels like to have your feet held to the fire.
You
and
can't
then just
move. You can't budge.
can't move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
There's
yeah,
there's a lot of merit, guys, in being the prospect. I know a lot of you, well, usually there's two situations that most of you roll into, which is I want to be the closer on the role plays, which is fine. That's totally cool. Or you're like, I just want to watch. Well, actually jumping in as the prospect is very important. And it doesn't have to be with me, guys, because even if you play the prospect with other peers in the mastermind, they might not hold your feet to the fire for as long as I do or as harshly as I do, but you'll be able to feel the moments when they do it. Oh shit, like I felt the pressure there for 10 seconds or 15 seconds on that question. And you'll get to feel what it feels like when you're boxing someone in from a good intention, not, egotistical or, trying to dom them up, but you're boxing them in with the truth, the facts. Like we're getting the data, we're getting the details, we're getting what's going on. We're going to have this real conversation around the facts. And you'll feel that when you can't escape that.
yeah. And I also noticed all the things that you were doing in some of the old role plays. Okay, you just think you're stacking the problems. Okay, so it's this, it's this, it's this, and then you were like calling out contradictions. Okay, you say you feel like you're more valuable, but you're only charging $10 an hour. Like, why is that? I'm like, fuck, I have to come up with an answer now. But there's just so many things, takeaways. I had to wait to watch this one again. But
Yeah, there's also a lot to be said of seeing anything in life from different perspectives. You've got perspective one is you're the person that it's happening to. You've got perspective two, you're the one doing it to someone. And then you've got perspective three, you're the observer. And there's different things that you're going to see from different positions. When you've seen me coach one of the members on what to do and their role playing, you sit and you watch and you think, yeah, that makes sense. And I can hear them doing it now and I understand. But then you get a different sentiment to it when you watch me do it or you feel me do it as the prospect. So there's a lot to be said for changing these positions, which if you want to master sales, guys, you have to play every position. You have to do your own cool reviews. So you're reviewing yourself. You have to jump in as being the prospect and being closed by other members that are using the methods in the mastermind. And then you also have to be the closer, either, on a role play or on your own calls. So you have to you have to do all of these different things to get a full, complete picture of what it is to master scriptless selling. Anything else, Ben?
no, I'd be interested to know more like what you were thinking through the various questions and stuff and where your head was at and like, okay, let me ask about this and that. But I don't think we have time for all that.
Well, it's not that we don't have time. I book out as long as we need for me to help you guys. I don't have a time limit on these. It's just that I can't tell you what I'm thinking because I'm not thinking. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm not thinking. I'm just looking at my notes and going, is anything glaringly obvious to me that, like, as we drew the constellations yesterday, like look at my fucking sheet of paper, like none of that. And then, well, that was yesterday. And then I ended up going on to a second sheet of paper, which I didn't get much on the sheet of paper, but I just got a few arrows. But like this sheet of paper, if you look at it, and I know you can't see it deep enough, but I'll just tell you, at this point on the paper was I had all of this by the time we got to the stuff about your mum. And if you did look at this piece of paper and you read all the different notes, there would be no singular thread that connects it all together. You'd be like, I don't get how any of this is one person's story. Like this just sounds like a lot of random things. And so when you're asking, what am I thinking? I'm just on the call looking at my notes and thinking, okay, I've got random piece of data, but I just don't get how this connects together. So then my next question is, Ben, I don't get how this connects together because that's what my notes are telling me. I'm not thinking about, what do I ask or is Ben moving? Because as I said before, and I'll say it again, when you're actually present and you're actually tuned in and you all see me now shift my state when I read my pre-call checklist, you don't need to think about noticing something. It will just smack you in the face. When someone says a contradiction, it will just whack you in the face. And you're like, well, that was a contradiction. You're not having to sit there and go, let me look out for contradictions. Okay. And you're like so like focused on trying to spot the things.
Yeah.
It's like the simple way of saying this is, if any of you have seen the video where there's a guy that walks onto a basketball court in a gorilla outfit, like a full fucking adult man, and he starts like throwing the basketball or walks on with I think he just walks on holding a ball or bouncing a ball or something. And when you watch that video, you don't even fucking see the gorilla. But then when after you've watched the video, someone says, "Did you see the gorilla?" You're like, "No." And then you watch it again. The minute that gorilla walks on, you're like, "Oh, there's a fucking gorilla." So it's like that. It's what is your subconscious mind primed to notice rather than what's your conscious mind trying to notice.
Right.
Right? Like if you've been told, be present and notice the gorilla, you don't sit there and go, "Where's the gorilla? Where's the gorilla? Where's the gorilla?" It literally gets like just on the screen. You're like, "There it is." Like, it just smacks you in the face. It's so obvious that there's a gorilla there. That's like me on a sales call. I choose my state, I read my state checklist, and when I'm just locked in, I'll notice everything. I'm not trying to notice the things. They're just obvious. It's like the Matrix. Like time just slows down. I'm like, "Oh, there's a bullet. Whoa, look at that bullet. It just went right over my head." Like I'm not even trying, guys. And I know that sounds crazy. And that's not because I've done this so long. That's because of the state. You can literally choose to do this tomorrow. You don't have to wait months or years to get to this point, to notice the things.
It makes so much more sense now. Be on this side of the role play. You're there to find the truth. So your subconscious is like, what's the truth? With our conversation, what part would you say is the burning problem? The whole thing, or like, oh, the fact that, like, at what point were you like, okay, that's the problem? Was it literally at the end when I was like, it's my mom, or was it before?
It was the moment that because burning is the key word. Problem
Right.
is not the same as burning problem. Burning problem was what you told us about your mom and the fact there's a timeline and the fact that, you know, you realize now that family is so critical and that it's not a God-given thing that you have that. And, you know, you want your mom to meet her grandkids. It's like, that's a burning problem. Everything else was just random little bars towards a problem, but they're not a burning problem.
Interesting.
And for me in my sales journey, like I was the guy that, what was it that you said? Sick of working for others. I was the guy that was sick of working for others for 10 years, but I still stayed in a job. The only time it really changed was when a girl said to me, "Girls like me don't date guys like you," because I was poor. And I was like, well, now it's a fucking burning problem. So there's got to be something,
a turning point. It's like
into a burning problem. Yeah.
A real turning point.
A real turning point.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, just view it like you've got a saucepan and you put it on the stove and you fill it up with water. Is that saucepan hot? Well, no, unless you turn on the stove. Just because there's a saucepan on the stove with water in it, if you touch the metal of the saucepan, it's cold. It's not hot. Is it burning? Like, is this thing raw to touch? Right.
I
so
think
like if we imagine that the part of the story about your mum was a wound that we could personify, in other words, we could say it's physical, that would be a wound where if I touch you, you'd be like, ow. Whereas I'm sick of work is like, oh, I've got a bit of a niggling elbow. It's like, well, if I like whack you on the elbow, are you going to go, ow? You'd be like, no. Well, then it's not burning problem, right?
I think we're trying to like intellectualize something that's very obvious.
Well, that's what I've been saying for the whole time. Yeah. Used to say, did you have a cucked conversation or did you have a real no bullshit conversation? And if I was on one of my calls that he was reviewing, he's like, you're just having a fucking cucked conversation. This is not challenging, deep, real truth. Like there's just nothing in this. It's just lame, basically. He never really said, oh, you haven't done the ownership bit. Well, he never said, you haven't done the ownership bit of the call.
I've never even heard him talk about ownership.
It's just, you're just dropping the ball on having a real conversation at multiple points through the call.
My big takeaway is like, from that call, it's all burning problem, 99% burning problem, and then 1%, all right, like solution, what do you need? You know, is your girlfriend, how much time do you have? Okay, great. Let's like, you know, tying the ribbon on the present. But
If I'd have just said, hey guys, by the way, a sales call is like 95% the pain and the rest of it you cover in like 2 minutes, you'd be like, nah, like I can't feel how that's
no,
going to
dude,
close
there's like 7
someone.
beliefs I got to cover. I got to cover the goals and this.
But when you're the prospect and you feel the pressure I'd got you into, and then I just wrap up the final timing, beliefs, partner, whatever, you're like, okay, I would definitely buy now. Like there's no way you wouldn't have bought. And so then it's a belief that's happened through experience. It's not, and Carl Jung talks about this, it's called unearned wisdom. If I tell you what to do, even if I can give you a clear logical argument, you're like, I haven't experienced it. Whereas when you experience it, you're like, okay, I've experienced it now. You know, like for those that don't know, and hopefully most of you have seen my long story on YouTube, I was a devout atheist for my entire life. I was like, no such thing as God. Anybody that believes in God is a complete idiot. And then I had spiritual experience that I was like, I've lived it now. Like I can't, you could have given me all the logical reasons of why God exists and the Bible and whatever. I would have been like, I've not experienced it. But the moment I experienced it, it was like, can't unsee it. It's the same as being the prospect. You feel it once and you're like, oh, okay, now I understand what a scriptless call is, why the other stuff is just very, it's not unimportant, but it's minimal. The 80-20 is the 80 is get to the truth of what's really going on. And that makes the sale, basically. The other stuff is just icing on the cake.
Just get to the truth of how bad the problem is.
Because if you get to the truth, they're going to find the time. They won't need to ask their partner. They're going to want you to be the people to help them because you helped them find the truth. There's going to be a burning problem. They're going to take ownership. Like the truth is going to unlock all of those things in one go. It's the master key that just opens every door. And vice versa. If you don't have the real truth, but you try and tie them down on ownership, tie them down on having the time, tie them down on your pre-handle partner objection, the fact that you didn't have the real truth of what's going on, those things are very easy to untie. In other words, you think you've tied them down and they're locked down and you've put a padlock on them, and it's like they can just unlock the padlock because there was no foundation of the real truth.
Yeah. You tied them down, but it was a string.
Yeah, you're tying them down with like it's like they're wearing trainers and you tie their trainer to a lamppost and you're like, got them. And they're like, I'll just take my shoe off. You're like, oh damn. All right. It's like, oh, I tied their shoe to a lamppost. They can't escape. It's like you do realize they can just slip their foot out the shoe. Yeah. Ben, anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about that and just thinking still about the call. Head's still, you know,
you'll
processing
think about
the
it for a few
difference.
days. Yeah, it will be with you for a while.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing goes back to it's not anything about you like you asked me about the offer at the beginning of the call. I'm like, oh, we do this and this and this, but like none of that came up. I'm like, huh, interesting. No wonder. It just shows you how scriptless selling, like you can go and just sell anything, and it really doesn't matter what you know about the product. Who cares? It's like
scriptless selling. I've used the analogy in many YouTube videos. Scriptless selling is chess. Scripted is checkers. It's harder, but it's, you know, imagine if, you know, you're 45 years old and you're like, I'm the world checkers champion. I don't think anyone's going to think anything of you. Whereas if you're like, you know, I'm the fucking world chess champion, it's like, well, that's quite something. And the problem is, like a lot of people, a lot of salespeople, they're like, I'm just going to be the checkers champion. Fine. If you're happy with 20K a month for the rest of your life, be my guest. But I don't want to be the checkers champion. I want to be the chess champion. I want to hit 100K a month. I want to enjoy selling. I want to have meaning and purpose. I want selling to actually energize me, not drain me. I want to learn more than just scripted words. I want to understand people. I want to connect with people. I want to become the best version of myself. There's so much more to scriptless selling, but that requires that you're playing a more complex strategic game.
Yeah, being a master of checkers doesn't get you a Richard Milley.
I don't think so. I mean, I'll Google it after.
Maybe it does. Who knows?
World checkers champion has a, you know,
Maybe eventually.
Rolls Royce and a RM, but I don't think so.
I don't think so.
All right, guys. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day, folks.
Thanks, Josh.
Bye.
See ya.
You're welcome. Bye. So there you have it. You've seen the full discovery. You've seen the things that you're missing in your discoveries that are keeping you from earning more money in sales. Now you decide. Do you want to keep watching free content on YouTube, trying to implement and figure this all out on your own? Or do you want help? Do you want to actually get a mentor, to actually start putting in the work, to actually start showing up, to align yourself with the other unicorns that are all on the same mission? If you do, if you know you are ready to work with me directly, to work with my underground mentor, and to get around the other unicorns, then below this video, there is a link to join the Unicorn Closer Mastermind. If you're sick and tired of not making the money that you truly want to be earning in sales, then click that link below the video, join the Unicorn Closer Mastermind right now, and I'll see you on the inside.